Hey y'all, how you doing? How you doing?
What's up, people? Welcome back.
Yes, so we are on our second episode, and let's just take a moment to say thank y'all for rocking with us for our part 2 / part 1 of our podcast.
Right.
This one is really good. We're gonna say that for every episode, but this one is really good because we are going to give you guys the blueprint on how to coexist with your partner in both life and in business. Of course, through telling our story, because y'all, at this point, you should know, even if this is your first rodeo with us, you should know that we cannot make this up.
Yeah.
Everything about our relationship, right? Everything about our relationship is literally like, you cannot make this up.
We couldn't tell you from a place of not going through it.
Right.
I always tell everybody, note takers are money makers. In this form, note takers are love makers. So
yes.
Go ahead and get your notes out, get your journals out, whatever you got to do. But we definitely gonna drop gems from not only experience, but what we've seen work for others as well. We've given advice to other people; they've applied it, and we've seen some changes in our following and our audience. So y'all just strap in.
Yeah. All right. So. This is a really tricky place to begin because we've experienced so many different eras and timelines together. We put out a video that actually went viral on all of our platforms, and it was like this trend where you showed all the eras of your life together as a couple. And everybody was really invested in our music era. So I guess we should start there. So Bay had been doing music since high school. Very quick backstory. His older brother was also doing music, so he kind of gotten his feel of music from influence and it just being in his environment. But Bay is fire. Like, he ain't no offense, please don't come on the commentary with it. I'm a Soulja Boy fan. I was when I was in high school. I think I'm the one that kept him alive, but Bay's not no Soulja Boy, okay? He ain't no Soulja Boy. I would put him in the category of like a Jay-Z / Drake, and I know that those are two polar opposites, but he has that je ne sais quoi, he is the Atlanta je ne sais quoi, if you will. And y'all keep pressuring him to put his music out because it's good. Anyways, you see how I slid that in there?
I did.
You see?
I'm trying to be modest.
No, don't be modest. Hurt these niggas' feelings.
Oh my God. Can we say that on the air? Hey.
No, but so when Bay was doing music in high school, I specifically remember he was about to perform at this club. What was the club? I can't remember.
Club Chit Chat. Shout out to the west side. The east side.
Yes. So he was going to perform there. He gave me the flyer that he actually designed, which was crazy. Full scope guy, okay? Full scope. But he gave me the flyer. And of course, I grew up in an single child household, and my mother was extremely strict, so I couldn't go. But it was at that moment that I realized music was a thing for him, as well as graphics. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And that kind of was my soft launch into what would be our music life together. Because as soon as high school was done, senior year, it seemed like I went to the Bahamas for my graduation gift from high school. And then when I got back, it was like, all right, so you ready to work?
Right.
And I'm like, what you mean? So he taught me how to record. And I got to spend the studio nights. I got to experience studio life. And
this was my engineer, y'all. This is, you were talking about Drake and 40. She my 40. Oh my God.
Man, we had some times, but his music career led us to starting our first venture together, which was called Urban Hype, which if you follow us, I have hinted at Urban Hype so many times. But Urban Hype was our first baby. That we had together because we're both music heads. I'm from New York. I love all music. I mean, I'm talking country, emo, punk rock, classical, all the things, R&B, hip hop, everything. Like there's not something that you can play. Folk music. Yes, I listen to folk music, y'all. I love music.
Yeah, something wrong.
Listen, I played in a band. I had nothing else to do. I played every type of instrument: trumpet, drums, and alto sax. Those were my 3 instruments of choice. But I tried the flute when we were in, middle school, they had all of the instruments out for band and orchestra, and I went to every last instrument and effortlessly played it. And they were like, well, you can pick anything at this point. And I was like, no, I need something with a little bit of a challenge.
should have been having you make my beats, man.
Man, listen. Had I stuck with it, I probably could play all them instruments, like them people that stand on stage with the drum,
right?
And then the things. I would have been that for the talent show.
One man band,
right? But anyway, so Urban Hype was our baby, where I got to interview some of the most iconic and most incredible artists, entrepreneurs. Bay was my first, interviewee, and that interview was scary. That interview was terrible. And if you go to the YouTube, you can see our progress through Urban Hype. But that first episode was so cringe.
I was just about to use that word.
It was so cringe because I had notes, and then I looked a hot mess. Like we had on matching beanie caps in my mom's sitting room.
Right.
Like it was so terrible. But then we did Urban Hype for, what was that, 2 years before?
It was about a 2-year span.
Yeah, before we had our son, and it was the most magical time. Like, Bay got to perform on stage in front of T.I. We were in the music industry at that point so heavy. Like, Fort Knox knew who we were. Like, he would call us out as soon as we walked in the building, bro.
Right.
Like, it was insane.
Yeah.
Bay was also a DJ. Pause. In conjunction with this man doing music, he was also a DJ. So we got to DJ and photograph, because I was a photographer at the time. We got to DJ and photograph Rashida and Kirk's party.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, we interviewed Candy's producer. I don't know is J.O. still her producer?
Yeah, J.O. still her producer.
Yeah, we got to interview him at the studio, which was crazy.
Yeah, me and J.O. started music together back in high school. Like,
yeah.
This has been a long run.
It's been a long, but that was our start. That was our first business together.
Right.
That was over 10 years ago.
Yeah. And see, navigating that space, to be honest, I was about to call you by your government name.
And you was about to get smacked on there.
My wife, she kind of created that, or she really created that to support me, because she saw that, me just doing my personal marketing wasn't getting to the right audience.
Yeah.
So she created Urban Hype Live to kind of bridge that gap, to introduce me to other artists out here in Atlanta, and to also get her voice out. She was in broadcast journalism. And when I tell you, when the camera is on, when she turns into, she has like a whole Sasha Fierce different alter ego. We still trying to figure it out what that name is. I mean, she go by Brittany with Love now, but back then, oh my God, when the camera came on, you couldn't tell that she was shy.
No. So, and still now, it's just switched from the camera to personal training. Like, when I have to teach a class, forget about it.
Man.
Forget about it.
I love that time. But yeah, navigating that space was, it was different for me, because it was the first time that I had to kind of do like group project work in an area where I was really passionate, because I wanted to control. I wanted to do everything my way. And she was like, this was my thing. I just kind of brought you on.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of us kind of
working together.
Nucking if you bucking.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, like, the production looked great. You go on YouTube, the whole intro, everything looks legit.
Yeah.
But to get to that point was some arguments. It was a lot.
We would be arguing on the way to the event. Yeah. Like, we used to host ciphers. Like, I need y'all to understand something. We weren't just no regular web show. Like, we literally held ciphers in the middle of Atlanta. Like, we literally had Little 5 Points on lock for a cipher in front of, what was that? It wasn't Wish.
I forgot the name.
It was like a boutique. Yeah, it was a boutique, and we had their front lawn, and we had people listening to. Like, we had a DJ. It was It was DJ Black Boy, bro. We had. Yeah. Oh man, we were doing something really nice. Then we did. Wow, I forgot about Sunset.
Yeah. We hosted a cipher at a whole lounge.
Yeah, talent show. Like, we had anybody. If you want to come and showcase your talent, like, we were just a local Apache.
Right.
We were a local Apache for a season. We held outdoor ciphers, like BET during the awards. Like, we've been doing this for a long. This has been an over 10-year run for us.
Right.
Like, what y'all see now is just us finally in flow.
Right.
Because we went through some. That was just the first business. Okay, we've literally been in like full-fledged arguments on the way to do a cipher, and when we got there, you would never know, because although Urban Hype was kind of like my baby, that, Bay got to benefit from 100%, when it came to music, this man does not play. Even with the podcast, he does not play. Everything has to be precise.
Yeah.
Everything has to be in order. Everything has to be aligned. And going, when music is both of our passions, but the process on how to do all of that is very different for each of us because of how we navigate the music space. Oh my gosh, it was like working for the drill sergeant. This was like major pain. Like, he was not playing. It was like, we gotta be here on time. We have to do this. The chords have to be laid this way. The box has to be packed like this so everything can fit. Everything has to be set up like this. You gotta get your levels together. I'm like, shorty, press play.
In short, I'm all about technicalities.
Yes.
She's all about execution.
Correct.
And I lacked execution on a major level because I would sit there and be trying to edit and tinker with audio, and it's due. Like it was due yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's just poor planning, things like that. We had to work out those kinks in order to get to this point.
Yeah.
But when you decide to do business with your partner, y'all have to be able to turn off the marriage hat.
Yes.
Because when you start mixing that in, then you start going below the belt, you start crossing over boundaries. And that's kind of leading into what we're going to talk about next, which is creating boundaries in your marriage, especially in business with your partner, because, one thing can set y'all off that's, business related, but that carries over into dinner.
Yes.
That's not okay. It's not okay because now you're in front of the kids and y'all sitting here still arguing about something that happened at 4 p.m.
Right. Right.
Like, no, it's put your hats back on. Put your wife and your husband hat back on. You still got to go wash those dishes, bro, because that's what you promised.
Right.
So
I don't care if you got to go edit something real quick. Do that after. You know, it's spouse time. Like, this is the role that we're in. Yeah, I think that was the turning point for us is when we had to start creating those boundaries because, like I said, Urban Hype was our first baby together, but then Babe did graphic design and I did photography. Yeah. So he had his own fully functioning graphic design business that he had going on. And I had my own photography business by myself that I had going on.
Yeah.
And our business was okay separately. But when we combined it, and it was our mutual friend, Chuck, who was my photography mentor, and took most of our, pictures for the whole highlight of our life until we met up with Jared Rainey, who I was actually in journalism class with.
Yeah.
And he's the guy who photographed our wedding, but Chuck was like, when we found out we were pregnant with our first son, like he captured so much of our highlights, but he was the one that was like, hey, I think y'all would be dope working together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, we did that. And it didn't pan out right. And he's like, no, creatively, like the graphics and the photography, like y'all could really do this. And we sat on it for about 2 years.
Yeah, for a minute.
And we were like, nah, we tried that already and it did not work. So again, our backs were up against the wall. We were two youngies with a child. And I was like, let's just try it.
Yeah.
And we did it. And again, our passions, we're very passionate, creative artists individually. But when you try to put two, there was what was that song? I can't think of the song, but it was like all the top A-list stars on this one song back in the day. Michael Jackson.
We Are the World.
Yes, We Are the World. And we watched the documentary and how that all came together. And you had all these high sedity artists in one room that were like prima donnas.
Right.
And all of that's how we were. It was just us. And I was like, no, I'm an expert in my craft. And he was like, I'm an expert in my craft. But then what's crazy is we taught each other how to do our craft. So then we both became skilled and good at each other's crafts. So then we were arguing like, I don't like the way you got that angle. I don't like the way you typed out that logo. It's like, well, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. You taught me. So we were going back and forth on just foolishness. And we had to really learn how to establish a working, cohesive boundary and rhythm in that.
Yeah.
Whew.
Y'all really have to, before you even start business, you got to get things down on paper.
Yes.
Like me and Bae now, we know strengths and weaknesses. And we're still uncovering things, but we call it the macro and the micro.
Right.
She's very well with the micro. So, for example, like setting appointments.
Yeah.
Like getting the kids ready in the morning.
The details.
Right. The details. It's like, nah, I got them. I'll wake them up not wake them up, but I wake up and take them to the bus.
Yeah.
Like, you worry about the little things and I'll get them there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was with our business. We never had those conversations.
Yeah.
And we just kind of jumped into it like, oh, well, we both can do the skill, but what does it take to execute the whole business
Right.
in total.
Right.
Because we both got the same mission, but how do we get there? And what roles do we need to play to get there? And that was tricky.
It was tricky.
But yeah, y'all gotta understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, and once you get that together, then it'll be easier for you to move. One person won't take as much offense. Had y'all not had the conversation, so definitely get that out the way.
Yeah, and I think that we worked out those kinks when we were doing our graphic design and photography agency, because we were dealing with clients, and I'm not talking about the little baby clients. Like we were doing like whole corporations that were starting from like startup phase all the way, like whole things. Bay designed a whole billboard for a company. You know, like we've done a lot of work. We've had to photograph things for people's whole companies that have like brick and mortar still to this day, you know, and that is something that we couldn't be unbuttoned. You know, we had to be buttoned up during those phases because it was important that they saw a cohesive front. Like we were working in that agency, and we were also a third party for, you know, somebody else who had her own marketing agency, and then we were outsourced, like we were contractors. And man, dealing with another agency as a third party, oh my God, that's when we really had to be buttoned up, because she was using our agency, but in two different ways, for the graphic and photography side. And it just started to be like, okay, so we're double working, but them paychecks was nice.
Yeah, the paychecks was nice.
The paychecks was nice. So we learned, you know, how to find and maneuver. And then after a while, we realized like, we were very passionate and still are about graphic design and photography, but when we had the pressures of doing it for corporations who wanted to change their mind every 5 seconds, or they weren't together, we realized that setting boundaries as business partners was important, because when we started dealing with other people who were business partners or companies that didn't have their micro and macro together, like they didn't have things set in stone, we were like, okay, so what do y'all want? Exactly.
Like it's bleeding in. Like so much so that me and babe on our wedding day, and I won't stay here because it'll make me frustrated all over again.
Yeah.
But business bled into our wedding day, where it really set, like we're still talking about it here years later.
Almost 8 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we had to take a pause because we had to breathe through it. That's why we're redoing our wedding. Let's just say that there were a lot of factors into our wedding, and one of them was the business bleeding into our wedding. And
realizing like having to show up for other people in that capacity, when it's like, man, we're very talented, we're very good and gifted for ourselves. I kind of just wanted to take that power back for myself, because I'm like, it's kind of a waste of time for us to be putting all of this emphasis and all of this good talent, good work into somebody's business that's not going to continue it. Like, we were getting a lot of those one-offs. And for what it took from us, a lot of our peace, a lot of our patience, it was taken away from our marriage, our time, especially being new parents. Oh my God, like it really caught up, and we jumped into it without really, because we didn't establish that macro and micro. I think we could have had things a lot better buttoned up, but we kind of was building the plane on the way down. And it hit the ground before we got the plane all together.
Like all we had was seats.
Right.
At that point, it was just opportunity.
Right.
Okay.
I got a seatbelt.
Yeah. Our wedding day was rough because our phones collectively were blowing up for a project and a deadline that had to go in conjunction with that same time of our marriage. I was about to go to jail. We're not going to discuss that because that's not the episode for it. But this is dead serious. Like,
she didn't do nothing illegal.
No, I didn't do nothing illegal. It was literally a ticket that got out of hand. But, you know, it was almost went to jail the day before my wedding. Had to plead my case for them not to lock me up for the day before my wedding. The wedding happens, and in conjunction with all that, business was going on, and we had to move out of our apartment the next day. So we didn't even get a legitimate honeymoon. We had chaos starting the foundation of our marriage. And with all of that said, y'all understand why we are where we are now, why we're at the mature level to be able and feel comfortable and equipped to give y'all the tips, tools, tricks and everything to navigate through your own marriage, your own relationship, your own business partnership, your own friendships, because we learned things firsthand that literally challenged us in every way possible. We are Brittany and Dorian. That's just the moral of the story. There are things that a lot of couples can do and a lot of couples can survive, but then there are Brittany and Dorian circumstances. I think we've checked every checkbox possible for what a couple can do together.
Right. Or the situations that a couple can go through.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that we haven't experienced is having a kid outside of our marriage.
Yeah.
That's
it.
I know of.
Yeah.
Y'all don't be having no little 8-year-olds running up to our house.
Right. Because then and to quickly comment on that, please don't ever, if you are a female out there listening and you trying to do that, I'm letting you know right now that this ain't the marriage for that. You can do that and play in somebody else's marriage, but I'm not going to get upset at my husband. I'm not going to leave my husband. I'm not going to be frustrated with him for, not knowing that he had a child there, not being a responsible person. As a child of a single parent and an only child household, it is irresponsible to withhold information from a father about his child, no matter the circumstance. If you wanted to respect our marriage, fine. But then don't try to come later on and disrespect it, because number one, you're breaking the boundaries. But I am not the type of woman, and anybody that knows me and has met me that's been his side piece or whatever, girlfriend, whatever, I am not the type of woman that would ever stop this grown man from being a father to his child. Whether that means that he has to spend a little bit more time with you to get to the child, whatever it is, I'm always going to support a man stepping in for his child. So to, nip that in the butt now. If you didn't speak up then, baby, don't speak up now, because for real, because I'm not, and it's not to say that he still won't handle his responsibilities, but don't think that you're going to come and try to spite and do the whole child support. We're not doing that, because you had time, and we would have loved to love on your baby. And if that was the case, it still would have been the same marriage. It just would have been a little, extra additional.
Right.
But don't try to come out the woodwork now, okay? We don't have time for that. The boundary is, right, the boundary is you stay there and we'll stay here. But yeah, to let y'all know, we take pride in our brand now. Happily Ever Alphen is nothing that we've ever done before. And what's crazy is this started off on accident.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
It started off on accident, and it also started off with us, just sharing our relationship. But I think where we love this, and I can't speak for Babe, but I can speak for me, where I love our brand now so much more than anything that we've created together, is this was more so an audience helping us in our marriage circumstance. What I mean by that is y'all hold us so accountable to share our truths. Yeah. Y'all ask us some really deep questions. And in the beginning of this brand launching, y'all were asking us questions that we never sat down and actually gave thought to.
Right.
We never gave explanation or reason to. And just to hear the questions that y'all had, and then the commentary that y'all had along with it, and the things that y'all were struggling with, I would read paragraphs every 5 minutes. Yeah. I would literally read hundreds of messages, emails, DMs, hundreds of them a day, and y'all just spewing your story, and it would bring me to tears. That not only was something that we thought was so imperfect inspiring y'all, but it was inspiring y'all in a way where some of y'all were fighting for your marriages, some of y'all were fighting for your relationships, some of y'all were fighting for your happy endings, and others of y'all were realizing that you had been living in this fantasy that you were going to have a better relationship. And after you've learned self-love, after you've listened to what we had to say about how you need to be secure in yourself before you try to be in a relationship, unfortunately, some of y'all were getting the divorces and doing the breakups, but it was because you recognized that you couldn't do what you needed to do until you got yourself together. So right. You were taking self-accountability. And I think for me personally, that kind of made this brand worth it, which is why we have a podcast now. Yeah. It was important for us to share our story, not so y'all can know our business, because we went from being very public people to now we're private. We don't want everybody in our business, because we've had the experience of having people run up to us oh my God, I follow you. And as we love that, it's just we are out here. Yeah. Oh my gosh. We, at this point, it's we need security. People run up to us, they see our kids, And it's still a shock.
Yeah.
It's still a shock that people are like, I follow you, you've inspired me, you helped my marriage. It's like, I've had people come up to us in VIP crying and spewing out their heart, and I'm like, okay.
It's a lot of time.
I'm shy. This is a lot, but I appreciate it. And I just hug on y'all. And, you know, Bay's like, my wife is watching, you know, shake your hand and go about your business.
Right.
But I'm the hugger.
All this distance.
I'm the hugger. And I'm the emotional one. But, you know, just meeting people, even from people that, you know, have lost the weight, you know, have followed the weight loss journey. And
yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, just our story in general. This brand and this time around has really showed us a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
it was very important for us to start sharing this. And the fact that it happened on accident, in hindsight now, it happened on purpose.
You can't make it up.
Like, you can't make this up. Because the directions that we were going at that time, like, we both were doing our individual thing.
Yeah.
Like, it sprung out of a business that she was aspiring. What was that? Presence.
Yeah.
She had a whole makeup line.
Yeah.
And we did a video on accident that went viral that sprung into this. So when we say you can't make this up, we realize that, like, there are some things, even though you can't make it up, it's supposed to be shared.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a testimony for somebody else. It's not just for us.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously it's been validated, and, you know, all of the support and it being retained from you guys, and y'all, you know, actually using that advice, like that social proof, that's always something that's trippy to me, where somebody can say, I learned from y'all in this one video, in this one description. Like, it's crazy how a description and how these little videos, these 1-minute videos or 8-minute video can change somebody's life. So don't ever think that what you're going through isn't going to be a testimony for somebody else. It's supposed to be shared. You're supposed to be going through that so that you can help the next person, like, reach your arm back and, you know, bring them back up with you. Yeah. And that's exactly what this is. So everything that we went through, and this whole podcast is dedicated to helping you guys along your journey. Yeah. And, you know, you get to understand us a little bit more personally, but you can understand how you can apply these same things, the same business woes that we went through, because you're probably going through the same thing or something similar. And you can see, okay, they made it on the other side. It's not the exact same, but what I can take from that is, you know, we need to write this down. Yeah. Like, hey, listen to this, because, you know, we're kind of going through that right now. So use these stories. And I couldn't have done this without you. I really couldn't.
Don't start.
I'm serious, because my brands weren't going nowhere.
They were. You were just standing your own way sometimes.
Y'all heard that? They were.
You know, we have to tell the truth, but I'm just sitting here just very proud of you, and just you just bring me so much joy, because just to see you from 14 to now at 30 plus tax, just to see the man that you've become and how you've established your flow, just as a man, as a husband, as a father. Like, you are my favorite dad, because you're so incredible. Like, just watching how you went from being a very selfish person to being very selfless. Like, you're open to creative critique, you know, and you weren't always that way. Like, you were not always open to hearing somebody critique specifically your music.
Oh, hell no. Don't talk about me.
Like, ever. And now you're willing to, like, take those tidbits and take that criticism and not look at it as something negative, but you instantly apply it. Like, you instantly move on it, because you're like, okay, well, if she noticed it, or if that person noticed it, then that means other people did. They were just the only one to speak up to me. And you use those moments to really solidify, you know, your growth. And that is something that I really admire about you. And for me personally, you know, I love a man that can lead. And this is coming from a very strong, independent Black woman, Taurus, raised by a single mom from Queens, like all of the things. Caribbean, like all of the things that would require me to be like, you know, fuck niggas and all of that stuff. Like, I can do all bad by myself. I stripped all of that. And it wasn't because, you know, Babe promised me greener grass and gave it to me, or Babe bought me with money and promises for a beautiful life. It was knowing that there was somebody imperfect who saw perfection in me and vice versa. And he was not only willing to heal and set the thermostat for how our marriage was going to flow, how our business life was going to flow, how our parenting was going to flow, but he saw the bigger picture. He saw the macro. And I'm sitting there stressed about the micro, like, but I don't like you, and you don't like me. And I hear what you're saying. You're giving me very much so Pisces energy with the fantasy, and I'm not seeing it. And everything with him was just trust me, live with it.
Man,
trust me, live with it. Trust me, live with it. And I did. And after almost 20 years of knowing this man, to be here now and just to see what you've become, to see how you led our family, you know, on paper to other people, it's like, where did he lead y'all to? You know, y'all got evicted and all of this. But what you've done for us spiritually, that's something that no one can take from us. You can't uproot us from the peace that you've helped us all find individually. You can't uproot us from the sense of relativity in the world. Like, we know who we are individually, and you've helped edify each of us.
Damn,
me,
girl.
the kids. Like, I'm just saying, like, when you found your flow, it helped us find our flow. And I think that's why this brand is so special, because this, if you go back to our first video to now, you see the evolution of our marriage.
Right.
Like, we sit on the phone sometimes and get lost in scrolling through our stories online.
I know, it's so cringe.
Bruh,
too.
it's so cringe, because sometimes it'd be like, babe, we're just like, I see why people are like, y'all are just so cute. And we just take that outside perspective, but we know firsthand what it took for us to get there.
Yeah.
But going backwards, like, if y'all really been following us for all of these years, to see that I went from being extremely shy, and Bay went from being the main character in the story because he had to carry the brand, to now it being a very flowing balance, to both of us now being able to use our voice. And even though our audience is mainly women, they receive so well from you, because they get to hear a real authentic male perspective from someone who is healed, from someone who has experienced life, from someone who knows how to love themselves and their women at the same time. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is you know how to love. And it doesn't take away from your masculinity. It doesn't take away from who you are as a person. It just, you got that je ne sais quoi.
I appreciate it. If there's any male men that are listening to this, one thing I will say is, yes, you do need to learn how to love yourself, bro. We don't take a lot of time to learn what that even means. We just like, I take care of myself. You know what I'm saying? I go to the barber every 2 weeks. I work out. Like, you working on the tangible things, all of the stuff that you can touch and feel, right? But how many times do you sit down and meditate and go within and actually look at your day and say, oh, wow, I behaved this way, or I treated this person because of blah, blah, blah. How much root work have you done?
Right.
Because we have ecosystems within.
Right.
And in that ecosystem, it can be very dark, bro.
Come on now.
It's a whole lot of weeds and structures that you gotta prick and rebuild.
Yeah.
And it took time for me to do that for myself, because I saw the bigger picture in what I wanted for this family, but I'm like, damn, that's going to actually require me to do work on myself too. I just thought I had to do work on everybody else. I saw your potential, you know what I'm saying, with your weight gain after the kids. It was like, man, you know that what's that term after a woman have kids, y'all go through
postpartum.
Like postpartum.
Yeah.
When I saw the postpartum hit, she was gaining the weight. Just that our current situations and circumstances at that time, it was a lot packing on. And at that time, we were at her mom's house, and it was just like, man, I had this realization that we were either going to die there. Yeah. And when I say that, I don't think I even told you, but when I say I thought we were going to die there, it was more so spiritually.
Oh, and we're tracking.
It just felt like it was a heavy cloud on us, and I'm like, we can continue to go down this dark trail, or somebody's going to have to find a light. Yeah. And the only way that I found that light was to go within. And for some other episodes, I may expound on that story, but I found me, and in me finding me, I was able to help you find yourself. I was able to lead this family better because I saw the macro, and I saw what it was going to take to get there, and I felt like I was strong enough to endure the current circumstances as long as one of us had the vision. It was just like, all right, we got to get through each and every day and get 1% better, even if we backtrack today. Yeah. At least it's not a loss, it's a lesson on how we can improve for the next day. And man, it's been a long time coming, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it. Man, you gotta learn how to love yourself. Give
Yes.
yourself credit. Don't be so hard on yourself. Like all of this stuff that's out here, again, for another episode, all of this is fake, bro.
Right.
It's all fake.
Right.
Everything right here that you're seeing outside is a mirror. It's a projection of what's going on inside. So get your internal straight, and then somebody cutting you off tomorrow isn't going to seem so detrimental as it is today.
Right.
I promise you.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. So if you're taking notes, men, learn how to love yourself. Women, learn how to stand confidently in your femininity. And what I mean by that is I think there is a very skewed perception about a helpmate. And I have learned through our work and life and relationships that me being feminine doesn't mean me, okay, honey, yes, sir, yes, massa. No.
Right.
That's society's definition of submissive wife. That's society's definition of, oh, this is what it means to be soft. You're just an airhead. You don't have nothing. You're not bringing nothing to the table. No. That's not what that means. But being your partner's helpmate, being your husband's helpmate, literally is helping them spiritually. It's the non-tangible, uncommunicatable things that you see them struggling with. Yeah. And it's like when they get in their own way, help them out of that. Help them by redirecting them, help them by redirecting their energy, redirecting their thoughts. That's when you'll see, we're sitting there and me and Bay are having a conversation with our eyes. And whole time y'all sitting there like, are y'all here? Oh yeah, we're listening to you. Like we're multitasking. We're having a conversation with our eyes while y'all having a conversation with your mouth.
Right.
And that's when you start to become one with your partner. When you recognize that your help is not external. Your help to your partner is internal. Because we'll be having a conversation with our eyes and I'll be like, okay, I know that everybody's arguing or people are trying to be petty and bring us down externally, but let me do a self-check-in. How you feeling? And we've actually dealt with that situation in real life where we recognized that someone was externally trying to cause a rift. And we had a quick check-in, like eye moment with each other. And we were like, nah, Bae gave me that, like, relax, like, don't even take it. And I'm like, you sure? Because, although I am healed, I can go backwards in 1 second if I need to protect you on the, like, physical. And
my little chihuahua.
Man, listen, I'm the best chihuahua, okay? I had to do it.
You didn't have to.
I did. But it's like, you have to understand what help looks like as the helpmate, as that feminine energy. And sometimes just our presence in our feminine energy can neutralize any environment for our man. And it's just that softness sometimes reminds him, like, you don't always have to wear your cape. It's sometimes just a touch. Like the touch, the back rubs, those little things help him in ways that you will never understand. And it's not really meant for us to understand. It's just for us to flow. Yeah. And if you don't get anything else out this episode, you and your partner, in order to be successful in business, in order to be successful in your marriage, in order to be successful in your co-parenting, even if you're not together, just you and someone else working together, your friendships, learn and establish your flow. And that flow looks like who's going to play the micro and who's going to play the macro, or who's going to play spot A, who's going to play spot B. And that's not to say that one person's voice is bigger than the others. It's finding the balance. It's finding your strengths and your weaknesses. And then with those weaknesses or those challenges, using those to really edify. So one of Bay's, things that he's working on, because back in the day it was bad, is that procrastination thing. And now we've gotten to the root of procrastination and realized that it's the cousin of consistency, but it's also the lack of what was shown to him, in his upbringing. Like, oh, well, this is osmosis. You're around people that don't demonstrate the very thing that you're struggling with. No wonder it's a problem.
Right.
Okay, well, let me show you. And then mine is resilience. My weakness is resilience. Like, after healing, I realized for me personally, like, I come from New York, okay? Everything about New York is grit, hustle culture, and resilience. And when you heal from that mindset and really step into your femininity and you're soft, it becomes very challenging to keep going. It's like, I don't want to do that no more. Like, I was 9 years old, cooking a full course, like, meal, washing clothes, doing all adult things at 8, 9 years old. Yeah. And then I meet Bae, and I'm like, you're in college. You haven't washed clothes yet? No. And I'm like, oh. Okay, you know how to cook something? You want oatmeal? Like,
right.
What? Like, you don't know how to make like mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, and all that stuff.
Got you on the eggs.
You know, like, it's like, oh, okay. But then after I healed, I kind of took a step back, and then Bay kind of learned to flow through the kitchen. He learned how to flow and step up in areas that it took me stepping down in to really let him flow. And that's another part of it. When you're doing too much, ladies, you stifle that man from doing anything.
Oh, yeah.
You stifle him from being able to flow, from leading, from doing all these things. So you are not allowed to call him a bum. You're not allowed to call him subpar. You're not allowed to say that he's this or he's lacking. What are you overcompensating for his lack?
Right.
You have to let him figure it out, because if you're saying that he's the man of the house, he's the leader, he's the head, he's all of these things, whether you're religious or spiritual, you know, which, again, another episode for another day, but it's all the same thing essentially is what I'm getting at. But when you realize that you are the hindrance to why this man or your partner cannot grow because you're overcompensating, then you have to start peeling back. You have to start peeling back the layers and realizing that you're doing more damage to them fully expressing themselves than actually helping.
Right.
And that takes growth, that takes healing, that takes you being very hyper self-aware, because sometimes you doing too much causes him to do too little, because he's like, why? Why do I have to do anything? You doing everything. You want to wear the pants and the thong, go ahead. Like,
Right.
Why do I need to step in? You got it. And that creates that confusion, that creates that rift, that creates that constant arguing, and y'all can't agree, and now boundaries are crossed because you're bringing in the argument that you didn't finish during the work hour
Right.
into your marriage hour.
Yeah.
Y'all got to establish, like, okay, this is where you flow, this is where I flow.
Right.
And you have to respect each other's boundaries. You have to respect each other's strengths. You got to respect each other's weaknesses. And you also, give each other grace. I preach this on every brand.
See, we on the
Bruh,
same frequency.
always. I preach that on every brand I have. Every single brand, you will always see me say, extend grace to yourself first and then to others. Because there are some people out here who genuinely don't know.
Yeah.
And grace does not mean give them excuses. Like, oh, they're that way because their mom. No, because at a certain point, you got to be held accountable.
Right.
But give people grace in knowing that, number one, all of this is not real. And number two, people are still running their own programs in their head. So until they heal from those programs that they're running, you're fighting iron with iron. They're both strong points.
Yeah.
But you have to know when it's time for you to release and let that person learn.
Yeah.
That's grace.
It's definitely grace.
Yeah.
And when you started to allow me to flow and operate in my masculinity, yeah, it was difficult at first. It was a new landscape for me.
Yeah.
Because I was enabled for a long period of my life. And,
Yeah.
Stepping out there without the training wheels, it was shaky.
Yeah.
And I know it was a lot of moments where she was cringing, where she was like, I can just step in and do it. I've been doing it for so long. I can just do it for another season and another season. But what that does is create a habit.
Yeah.
And what it does is also, it's kind of like when we're first born, right? You pick up things, and if you don't use it, your brain says, I don't need it.
Right.
And for most men, our intuition is one of those things that we are stifled
Yes.
with. And our masculinity kind of takes a hit as well.
Yeah. A
Because
big hit.
a huge hit. So, stepping out there and having to be the leader of the house after she had our daughter, I told her, that's it. You're not working anymore. I need you to find yourself, because you already lost yourself a little bit with our son.
Yeah.
And now you have a whole nother child. We have a whole nother person that's dependent on us.
Yeah.
I need you to get you together so that you can be here for her.
So I can help.
Right. Properly.
Yeah.
So her releasing control was what it was. And
Yeah.
once she started to trust me in those areas, and yes, again, it was shaky at first, but with her support, I was able to, take the criticism, even though I didn't agree with how it was delivered at times, and she worked on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to hear the message. The underlying message was, okay, there's another way.
Yeah.
Okay, so cool. So now I can apply this for the next day to help her out. At the end of the day, we're a team. And during that maturation process of me learning how to, operate within my masculinity, I was able to catch on after some time.
Yeah.
And now she's able to flow within her femininity, and we can be authentically ourselves first.
Yes.
Before we even show up for each other. We show up for ourselves first.
Yeah.
And now, coming together is just that much more powerful.
Yeah.
So ladies, release control. You got to
Yes.
release control and trust that man in that area. I know you've been doing it for 15, 20 plus years, but to be honest, we want to help. We want to step in those areas.
Yes.
But because you've taken control over those areas for so long, I know you hate how we fold clothes.
Yeah.
But, okay, come in there and just be like, babe, look, I'm going to show you this. I'll do it with you for the first 3 times. If you don't mind, can you help me out next week and just handle the laundry? I'm going to just show you how to do it this time.
Or just let him fold his own stuff.
Right. At this point now, she's just like, look, I'll give you your power. Okay.
You want to help so bad,
Right.
go do your stuff
I'm
then.
cool with that. You know, relinquish control up to a degree. If it's
Right,
that much.
right.
But you gotta trust your man. Trust your man in those areas, and you know, hold him accountable as well.
Yeah.
Because it's those little fundamental things. It's kind of like, you know, us raising our son right now. We're giving him those little responsibilities.
Yeah.
But that helps take the training wheels off.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my tidbit about it. Because man, like when you were kind of hawking over everything, it was just like, where do I fit in this puzzle?
Yeah.
I don't want to just be the breadwinner, the typical man that just goes out, gets the game, or goes out and hunts and gathers and comes back and just sleep on the couch. No, I'm an able body, put me to work, and I want to show up in this marriage authentically and not play this one stereotypical role of a man. Like, we're so much more, and that increases our intuitiveness. It helps us become better partners for you, because now we're starting to apply these little fundamentals of just learning how to do some disciplined work like folding clothes. And we can apply that to our marriage. Let me be disciplined about each week, you know, giving her flowers or wherever it may transpire. But man, that control thing is a big piece in most relationships that we come by.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, we have 2 hemispheres in our brain. We have 2 sides. And when you force a man to only use one side, he's not nurturing the other side, which that could be the side that you need to help you form a better relationship, form a better partnership, form better boundaries, and actually help him become exactly who he's supposed to be in this timeline, in this realm. And a lot of times when we stifle others, like our partners specifically, and even our children, from using both sides of their brain, we limit them. And you can't get frustrated with the limitations that you put on your partner because you're not allowing them to use both sides of their brain. When I saw Babe flowing and using both sides of his brain, like when he knew what I needed without me opening my mouth, I'm like, oh, every man has that quality, because that wasn't taught.
Right.
And no shade to my in-laws or any of, you know, my husband's family, but those skills were not shown to him. That is not something, because he comes from a very hyper masculine family where everything is ego, everything is man is right, everything is women in the kitchen. It's never the man in the kitchen. It's they are very typical. It's very, the woman stays home, the man does the work. And the women are very strong. Don't get it twisted. The women of the Alpha family are very, very strong. But that masculine energy is very loud. You feel that before you even feel the presence of God. I'm being very honest with you. And it was very intimidating when I first met his family, because I'm like, whoa, I have never been around this much masculinity at one time. And it's a meat house sometimes. Like, they're mainly men in their family. And just seeing that was intimidating enough to make me feel like, oh, no. If he thinks that I'm about to come into this family and be another silenced woman while you run around and beat on your chest, no. Yeah. But then when I learned how to step back and stop scolding him for everything that he wasn't, because at the time I was unhealed and didn't realize, like, you weren't those things because you weren't shown those things. Right. When I stepped back and let him use both sides of his brain, oh my gosh, the way that I was able to heal and find out who I was by releasing control and allowing him to flow and setting those boundaries for him to figure out who he was, and he allowed me to figure out who I was. I learned that I am not the strong friend. I'm not the strong one, period. I'm not the one that wants to show up all the time and be the first caller and the first respondent on the scene. I kind of want to be in observing mode. Right. I kind of want to take time for my responses. I don't want to be the one that's quick on my feet and constantly saying, do this. No, I want to take a moment to feel it out. I want to take a moment to look around and actually give people grace, and not always going into the situation and knowing that, well, I know what's best. And no, in this case, you know, I kind of want to see how you figure it out, because I'm just curious as to how this path can end up. If we taking your way and your suggestion is going to lead us to a different outcome. Because if we take it my way, I know the outcome. I know it. but I don't know if we take your outcome, how this could project us into another space, or what this can do for us, what this can build in our kids. And when you give your partner a turn and a chance to flow in both sides of their brain, it's like, oh, things actually are really great. And then men do the same thing with their women. Sometimes let them lead.
Yeah.
Sometimes be like, babe, you got it. You know, don't put all the pressure on the man to do the dates. Women, plan the date sometimes. You know, for the anniversary one time, you plan the date. And what that does for the man is take notes. Okay, so at that point, men, when she plans the whole date, take notes on the things that she put emphasis on, the little details, the environment, because now you add that to your notes, and Bae does have a running note of everything I've ever sent him that I like, places I want to go, and he picks from that list for all the things, because I've given you the blueprint at this point. So once she gives you the blueprint, and once he gives you the blueprint of the standard, you have no excuse but to perform and love and do all of the things for your partner. Right. Like y'all got the game plan. Y'all got what needed to be done.
Yeah.
And you can't make this up. This is a really good conversation. Like, I'm full. I hope y'all are full, because we full.
Yeah.
We stuffed.
I think for us, us going back, talking about it, and, you know, sharing these ideas with you guys, it helps us reassure that, you know, we have done the work.
Yes.
And to be these people now, it's kind of like an out-of-body experience almost.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I remember vividly, like 8 years ago, the situations that we were in, some of like what you had on, the conversations, like down to the meticulous details, and you know, to flash forward and to be, you know, communicating what we went through was actually, it wasn't for nothing. It was working on us the whole time. And now we're in a position to share. Oh my God, it's a blessing. Yeah,
our inner teens, because we've known each other since we were 14, our inner teens, we know, are just like, damn, y'all did it. Like, we did. That one time in art class where we were like, is he the one? Is she? You sure? You didn't see that girl walk past with that fatty? You sure that's not the one? That's not the one. You got to build that flatty to the fatty. You know,
I tried. Oh my God, I had every shape and size. I will say that.
You did. You did. And you went down to the Bob the Builder mode. Okay, you customized your bitch. That's our little insider, okay? He customized his boo. And I love that for you.
Man, I do. I love that you can be this person for yourself before anything. Like, that was the whole project. You've always been my pupil. I'm like, I'm going to crack the code.
Same.
And,
Same. And look at us now.
Right.
Two crackhead apples just loving on each other. You see it. Now we just smiling and giggling. Like, half the time, I just think people look at us and they're like, there is no way y'all are like this all the time, baby. Our kids look at us sometimes like, have y'all been like this since high school? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
we even be like, are you sure you're real?
Right. Like, yeah.
I be asking her all the time, like, what you really
who
want?
Hired you? Are you a narc?
Who do you work for?
Right. Nah, what you see is what you get. We can't make this up. This is Brittany and Dorian.
Yeah.
And we are the Alphans.
Your voice is so beautiful. We need to get off this podcast. We ran over time. If you still here, we thank you for rocking with us this whole time. Like, I know it was a lot of nuggets in here. I know it's a lot to take.
Yeah.
But and especially if you're in some situations where it's like, look, that's good for y'all, but ain't no hope over here. It's always hope.
It's always hope. There's always a shot. Because if we got down to the nitty gritty of our story, y'all would be like, ain't no way y'all survived that, baby. We did.
Yeah. Y'all clones,
we survived it. I don't know how, but you know, we got through death. Let's just say that.
Let's say that.
We got through death together. Anything is possible. Yeah. So we love y'all. We appreciate y'all so much for rocking with us, and we will see you on the next episode.
Peace.
Bye.